Greetings, heathens and heretics, and welcome to sunny fucking springtime in the abyss and all that. It's like
Oh, it
fucking
is, isn't it?
sunshine.
It's not very metal this weather, is it?
No, you put away all your black winter merch and you take out all your black spring merch, don't you? I think is what you do.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I'm just imagining like the intro to Black Sabbath's first album if they'd had like tweeting birds and the sound of lawns being mowed in the background.
You don't get lawns in that part of Birmingham, right? It's all concrete yards, isn't it? But
Fair enough. Yeah.
but other than that, how are you doing? Are you all good, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, all is well. So not too much to complain about here. How's life in Chelmsford?
Sunny. So breaking out the All Father. He's fucking just
Ah,
disappeared. Look, there it is. There it
it's
is.
the invisible beer.
There it is.
Nice, nice. Is that a Radio City Social beer?
Well, you know what? It is a Radio City social beer. You know where to get it now. rcbw.shop. Just go and buy some fucking beer. There's no point dicking about it. It's damn good beer, so go and buy some. Oh, and it's starting to appear in pubs and things around as well outside the southeast, and I believe there's a pub in Bournemouth now that has it. So yeah, get
That's
involved.
great news.
Anyway, we're doing a bit of an unsung banger with a difference this week, aren't we? Sort of.
Yeah, so I'd say so. I mean, like, because I mean, you messaged me the other day to say let's do another unsung banger, which is great. Always good. So my mind immediately went to one particular album, Stream of Consciousness thing. Um, but I think it's always a little bit difficult with unsung bangers because like just the nature of the fact that like no one talks about them, or it might be a record that not a lot of people have heard of.
Yeah.
You kind of wonder that, are people going to be interested? You know, so I think it's always useful to hang it on the back of something that maybe people do have a vested interest in. So we'll talk about a little bit more about that in a second, but yeah, I think so. The record we're about to talk about kind of got me thinking about quite a major player in the metal world. And actually, like he himself is a bit of an unsung banger, I think. A lot of people talk about him, but maybe not in the context of, taking into account the breadth of the work that he's done. So that person is Dave Lombardo of Slayer,
Mr. David Lombardo.
Mr. David Lombardo, monster drummer, major player. But the record, like maybe before we talk about him, the record I wanted to talk about was this release, um, Film.
Ah, film.
Film with a PH, Fire from the Evening Sun, the record's called. It's 2014 release. Um, that I knew nothing about before I'd heard it. I can't remember really what prompted me to buy it other than a bit of curiosity. Like, let's see what Dave Lombardo's kind of, let's dig a bit deeper, I think. And I ended up buying that. It was in a like a sale. I think I paid about 11 quid for it,
Oh,
which is great. There's probably we should like another thread of this channel could be like adventures in vinyl, just where you take a chance on something and it
any
just
any fucking excuse, isn't it?
and it just
It's
pays
all for
off.
research purposes.
It's all for research purposes. So this fits into that category of an album I bought on a bit of a whim. Paid very little for it. And it's gatefold double vinyl. It's a great release. Yeah, Film, Fire from the Evening Sun. What an absolute banger.
Yeah, and I think so. The first time I heard it was Ran Your Flat, wasn't it? I've got a feeling it was before we went to see Carcass, and
It might have been. Yeah.
stuck it on, and like straight away, it's like this is not what I would expect Dave Lombardo to do. Obviously, Lombardo, Cuban, Dave, he's got that sort of bit of a flair about him, but I was
Yes.
not expecting this to be a Dave Lombardo album. And like surprisingly, I took to it first time as well. I can definitely see why you like it because there's a jazz influence in there and
I mean,
all
there's
that
everything.
jazz. But
Yeah.
there's absolutely everything in the mix, but it doesn't become a mess.
Not at all. No. So just to pitch it, because right. So the point being, I guess a lot of people, well, yeah, it goes without saying, a lot of people will associate Dave Lombardo with Slayer. Okay.
Oh, really?
Thrash metal king, right? But this is not a thrash metal album.
No, definitely not.
Um, you know, there are, you do get blast beats on there, you do get D beats on there. There's a lot of fast playing. You're going to hear a lot of what, Dave Lombardo is famous for, those long kind of
Yeah.
fast fills and all that. It's all here. The playing is all there. Um, it's interesting that you mentioned Lombardo's kind of Cuban roots. Because what I've always found great about his playing is just that Latin flair that he
Yeah.
has, and I don't think a lot of people really think or give him credit for that, because it's definitely there, and there's definitely a swing to his playing that comes from that, that Latin background. But this album probably, I mean, I see it getting described as like a post-hardcore album, which is true, I suppose, but there's punk in there, there's sludge in there, there's a lot of grunge in there.
There's definitely a lot of grunge in there.
It kind of sits in that murky category that people sort of refer to as like
Alt, yeah.
alternative, yeah, alternative rock. Um, Two other guys in the band, Jerry Nessler and Francisco Tomaselli, who I don't really know much about. I'm not too, I don't know the history of those guys or much about other things that they've been involved
No,
in.
I think Jerry Nessler's a bit of a sort of a journeyman musician kind of thing, been knocking around in a few bands, but I don't know a great deal about him either, and couldn't actually find out a great deal about him for that matter.
Yeah,
So,
well, exactly.
you know,
But so yeah, a power trio, so a three piece, which is always good. This album reminds me of the sort of stuff that Discord Records were putting out, like in the late 90s into the 2000s. I think if you know bands like Blue Tip, Jawbox, stuff like that, you're going to find something in this. You might want to put your fingers in your ears, Tregenza, because I'm going to swear, but I'm going to say the F word. There's a little bit of a Fugazi thing going on here. Um, you can take them out now. It's fine. Um, at times it's like Queens of the Stone Age with D beats. I think of Mudhoney a lot as well, but like a kind of more aggressive
yeah,
Mudhoney.
yeah, I get that, it's the weird thing is, I don't know whether I would know, I don't know whether I'd have the same reaction to it if I didn't know Dave Lombardo was playing, but like you said, it's obvious that it's Dave Lombardo. Like
Yeah,
his drum style is all over it. One particular is Lion's Pit. There's like proper
right.
proper Lombardo drum fills all
Yeah,
the way through that, and it's like, yeah, he still takes that style into a completely different style of music, completely different genre of music almost.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that just says it all about what a great musician he is, I think.
It does. It does. And interestingly, it wasn't till today I thought, oh, I bet, I just want to do a bit of, just find out who produced this record. Because I love the sound of it. It sounds great. It's
Yeah.
got a real crack to it. It sounds live. There's tons of energy. Um, like the opening track, Train, is it? No, hang on. Let me see if I've got that in the right order. Yeah, Train. Yeah. There's a kind of a 1-2 where he opens with a song called Train straight into the title track, and there's so much like exuberance and energy in those songs. It really sets things up in a great way. And I was like, who produced it? And it's actually Dave Lombardo. So,
Didn't know that either.
so exactly. So to his credit, he's not only a monster player, but he's really put together a record that captures great energy. Um, alongside the fact that all three musicians are playing at the top of their game.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, so going back to that point about it being a really diverse record and an unexpected record, from that point, I think you can start digging into the rest of Dave Lombardo's career. And it's when you do that, you realize how much he's done outside of Slayer, and just what a creative, diverse musician he is.
Well, no, I'll quickly list the bands that he's actually played in. He's done projects and he's done some really bizarre stuff. But the bands he's been, obviously Slayer, in Misfits, Phantomas, Grip Inc., Mr. Bungle, Testament on the Gathering album, obviously Philem,
Yeah.
Dead Cross, another Mike Patton project,
Yeah.
Suicidal Tendencies. He played on Annihilator's Metal 2 album. And obviously the most recent one is Empire State Bastard, which is probably the weirdest of them all.
Yeah.
Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro and Mike Venart. And that. I mean, that's a weird album as well. That's got sort of touches anything from black metal to sort of, well, again, 90s kind of alt rock. It's a
Yeah,
really bizarre. But those are just the bands. There's all the other projects he's been involved as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. But when you just look across that, you just think, but you can see him playing in all those bands as well. You can see how it works because he's just that fucking versatile.
it absolutely works. And what's interesting about it is, for the most part, and I'll get into that in a minute, but for the most part, you can always hear that it's Dave Lombardo.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, not just the way he plays, but he's got a really unique sound to his kit as well. This kind of big open sound
Yeah.
that is unique to him. I've never heard any other drum kit that sounds like it does when Lombardo's behind it. And I love that.
Drum nerd.
Yeah, well, look, indulge me, indulge me. But the perhaps the exception to that is the stuff he's done with Fantomas.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting point in his career. A project that's largely headed up by Mike Patton. But I also think around that time, he was working with or was introduced to John Zorn, who, is an incredible
Did a couple of
musician.
albums with John Zorn, didn't
Yeah, so he's done albums with John Zorn. John Zorn, the reason a lot of metal and rock fans or alternative music fans will have heard of John Zorn's, he produced the first Mr. Bungle album. So I think that's how he became sort of absorbed in our orbit. Plays some incredibly bizarre music himself, anything from chamber music to jazz to kind of death metal to all sorts. But anyway, I think I've read interviews with Lombardo where he credits that sort of relationship, the Mike Patton, John Zorn and him, with really opening up his mind to, or maybe not his mind actually, I suppose, but just giving him the confidence and the bravery to go off and do his own thing, I guess, to unlock maybe the creative ideas that he had in his head and just to try other things. And I think what's interesting going back to those Fantomas albums is he's really then experimenting with different sounds in terms of the drum kit and the instruments that he uses to get sounds across. And I think a lot of that was actually Mike Patton's influence, who he was very into just curating instruments and sounds and really trying to recreate.
he? Making noise.
Yeah, making noise, but also, very influenced by old 70s like Italian
Yeah.
classical albums and soundtracks and jazz albums. And he would really drill down into the instruments that were used to create that. Not just the instruments, but maybe the studio equipment and the production style and stuff like that. And I think Dave Lombardo got involved in that and has just kind of taken that and run with it. And I think he's one of the most prolific, creative musicians in metal, I think.
I also get the impression he's a thoroughly nice man.
Yes.
There's obviously there's we don't know the truth, but there's obviously a few stories around about how he left Slayer or he was kicked out of Slayer, and we don't know the truth, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's an element of truth to a lot of it.
Well, yeah.
But
I
he
mean,
just seems like he just kind of moves on. He doesn't make a big deal out of anything. He doesn't go, "Oh, fuck Slayer" or anything like that. He just moves on, does his thing, does his music, and carries on. And he just seems to be one of those people that, because when you go through that many bands, you could be someone like, he's just a journeyman drummer, but he's not, is he? Every band he goes into, he has an influence on.
I absolutely.
Has a real impact, and it gets people excited, like Suicidal Tendencies with fucking Dave Lombardo on drums. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, that's a
Yeah,
coming together of thrash greats.
100%. And he brings something to all those. But like you said, it's his. He's not just going in there and playing like, okay, what do you want me to play? He's bringing his thing into it.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
things become greater than the sum of their parts. It's interesting you bring up the sort of feud with Slayer, because I was thinking about it. It just almost exactly in the terms that you've just described it there. None of us were there at the time. We don't know the ins and outs of it. We kind of understand that maybe, Dave Lombardo's side of the story is he started asking too many questions. Kerry King will say,
Shut
well,
up, drummer.
yeah, Kerry King will basically just say, people were influencing him, making him believe things that weren't true. My personal take on it is, out of Dave Lombardo and Kerry King, I know which one I'd choose as a babysitter.
So Kerry King then, yeah?
Yeah, all the way. No, no, the opposite of that. And I think on that point, all of the bands that Lombardo's been in, you get the sense it's because he's in demand. He's
Yeah,
like people draw him in, welcome him in with open arms, and a real genuine desire to work with him because of what he does.
whereas Kerry King, no, so we were just chatting before we recorded this and realized that the only two people that have ever actually done anything outside of Slayer from that original lineup are Kerry King and Dave Lombardo.
I think so.
And what was it you called the Kerry King solo album? throw you under a bus.
Well, I was comparing um the work that Lombardo's done outside of Slay. You think about the diversity, the difference from project to
Yeah.
project. He's really someone that's exploring his abilities on the instrument and his musical ideas. And then you've got Kerry King that basically has come out with a Slayer covers album. Um, he hasn't really traveled too great a distance from the
Not
day.
really, not
Which,
really.
which, which is fine as well.
Yeah,
At
look,
the end of the day, it's not what I expect, but
imagine the stick Kerry King would do it would get if he did a fucking pop punk album or a jazz album or anything like that. He's Kerry King, and that's what he's got to do.
that's a very interesting point. Yeah, it's
You know,
almost like Kerry
fucking
King's
Kerry King is sold out, right? So yeah.
he's a brand in himself, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Look, I mean, for me, Lombardo, I got a couple of favorite moments, a couple of memories with Lombardo. One was, seen Slayer loads of times over the years, obviously, but I think that the biggest one was Slayer of the Astoria in 2003, which was just after he returned. So I'd only ever seen Slayer with Bostaph before that. And when we're all in anticipation for that drum bit in Angel of Death,
Yeah.
and when it hits and it's slightly longer than it would be normally, it like genuinely the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's
Oh,
like, fuck yeah. I mean, look, no
yeah.
disrespect to Paul Bostaph, incredible drummer in himself, but seeing Lombardo do it
Yeah.
is
But
fucking special in
you
that
know,
venue as well, in such a small space.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I mean it's just been
special.
like a hammer to the face.
Oh, just the
And
way
I
we
think
like
just
it.
to touch on the comparison you made between Lombardo and Bostaph is, both fantastic drummers.
Yeah.
Bostaph can play it, but Dave Lombardo wrote it.
Oh, there's a line. Put that on a t-shirt. And the other one as well is Download in 2004 when
Right.
when Lars mysteriously went sick and we were waiting for what felt like an age for Metallica to come out. And there's obviously the Joey Jordison part. He was phenomenal playing the
Right.
majority of the set with Metallica. But for us being old fart, well, not old farts at the time, but long time Metallica fans, long time Slayer fans, seeing Metallica do Battery and the Four Horsemen with Dave Lombardo playing drums was just like fucking. It's like a thrash fan's wet dream.
I know.
It was incredible,
It,
absolutely incredible.
yeah, I
So
can. I've only seen the YouTube clips. I wasn't there. Heard
it was
about it.
very cool. It
I
was
think my favorite, again, just touching on that Angel of Death feel, really, or okay, I mean, not that specifically, but Dave Lombardo is famous for his double bass drum
yeah,
abilities,
yeah,
right? And a couple of years ago, I remember thinking, on YouTube, just watching a clip of a drum clinic that he'd done, so in front of all these drummers, thinking, oh, that'd be interesting, because I really want to hear how he how he got up to that speed and that ability. And I kid you not, he's standing there in front of all these drummers, like clearly wanting to know the same thing. They all sat there like, right, so Dave, like, how do you do that? And his answer was just, you just do it.
fuck off.
It's he's got no, it's not like he sat there and practiced with a metronome and built up his speed over years and years. I'm sure there's an element of that to it, but as far as he's concerned, it's like you just needed to go as hard and as fast as you could. So you go hard or go home. Basically, you step up,
Makes you
and that was
fucking
it. That
sick,
was
doesn't it?
that was as much of an explanation as he would give to his ability on those double bass drums,
Makes
which
you fucking sick.
So, it's pure, raw, natural talent.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. Look, there's a couple of weird things he's done as well. He DJ Spooky, I think in around about 2005, which is
Yeah.
that's an odd one. He played on Apocalyptic's Reflections album, and he's done a couple of film and
Right.
TV scores as well.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead, Insidious Chapter 3, and Californication, the David Duchovny TV
Oh,
show.
right.
He did some scores for that as well. So,
Right.
it's just he knows no limits.
No, he doesn't. I don't know if you've heard he's like the only album he's put out under his own name, which is it's very drum heavy. It's just kind of, but not in a indulgent. Well, I suppose it is. I mean, it's a solo album, but
Yes.
it's very it's funky and rhythmic and it hooks you in. It's really really good. It's not what you
The
would
one that came out
imagine.
last year. Was it last year?
I think he
Fairly
put it out
recently.
a couple of years ago. Was it 2022 maybe around about there in 23? I
I have
don't.
heard it. Fairly recent, wasn't it? But yeah.
It's there's tracks on that like that remind me of stuff like Trouble Funk, which I don't know how familiar you are with bands like that, but it's just that I don't know that kind of Washington DC big funky open sound. It's very cool, and you put that on a big sound system. It's going to get you going. Other stuff he's done. There's the Venemoris project, which is him and his wife,
Yep.
which is this kind of gothic pop thing, which again, it's just completely different to anything else he's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. All hail Dave Lombardo.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. All hail Dave Lombardo. There you go. All father. Hail Dave Lombardo.
Yes.
Um, no, I'd love to know what other people think about him as well. Like, because it isn't just Slayer. Everything that we've just talked about, because people are going to have stories about someone like Dave Lombardo. They're going to have memories. So, tell us because we want to know. This is just merely scratching the surface, really, of what the man is all about. So, yeah, tell us all about it. That's it. That's it. Just like that, 20 minutes, bang, we're over. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're on Spotify and all those horrible fucking platforms, we'll be back next week with something possibly moany, possibly grumbly, or maybe not. So who
It'll
knows?
be
But
it'll be a roll of the dice either
it will
way.
be. It
But
will
in the
be.
meantime, check out Film Fire from the Evening Sun. Great
Definitely.
record. Really,
Definitely.
really cool.
And take it from me as well, because it not wouldn't necessarily be the sort of thing I listen to, but I have since managed to track down the vinyl. It's now a lot more expensive than 11 quid, but I found it. So, I highly recommend it. It's a fucking great album. It's a very easy, enjoyable listen.
Yeah, good fun. It's fun,
Yeah, it is.
I think it would appeal to. I'll tell you what, I was listening to it recently thinking this would be great at Desert Fest. Like
Oh,
if you're into
yes.
Desert Fest, because it's kind of like a almost like a psych element to it. I mean the guys can play. I just can imagine those guys just absolutely laying waste to like the underworld in
Oh,
Camden.
yeah, it would fit perfectly. Absolutely
One
perfectly.
on that point though, that they are still, as far as I'm aware, they are still a band, but Lombardo's not involved anymore. And they put
Ooh.
out they put out a third record with another drummer that I haven't heard. But prior to that, Fire from the Evening Sun, Film, great album. Check it out.
Go and check it out. Uh, we'll be back again next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you in a week. Oh, and stay Mel.